Yeah, you think we are playing with these songs? Why do you think groups like AfriForum care so much about what music is supposed to be sung by what group and what music can be sung? Music is not just like empty noise. Music is not just empty noise, man. You understand? Music is has the power to heal. It has the power to awaken something that has been dormant. And our people need that more than anything right now. They need to awaken whatever is dormant within them because there's no way, guys, that we can be such a dependent group of people. Of all the groups in the world, we are the most dependent group. We depend on the Chinese, we depend on the Arabs. Our people are starting to receive gifts now from Pakistanis. The police are getting tanks donated to them in KZN by Pakistanis who cannot even stay in their own country, but they have the capacity to donate tanks, water tanks to South African police. We are a dependent disgrace on the face of the world. We are the most disgraceful group of people in the face of the earth, and we have to tell a different story. Okay. Hey, I'm playing these clips, these songs, because they help me to collect my thoughts. When I'm thinking of too many things, I know what buttons to click so that I can align. Come in, guys, so that we can talk amongst each other. Come. Oh, oh my God. I'm reminded of my father now, that old man. When he says, Didiela Nonkala, ngasemlanjeni. Uyadidiyela unonkala ngasemlanjeni. Wenza ngabomu nonkala ngasemlanjeni. Let's play one more offering. We're gonna start now. Oh, oh yeah. Hey! Siyabulisa, siyacamagusha ke. singohlathi singolisa singojamba singocansi singosanzanza sanzuza kwavela umuntu singogiqa emajwe singokhwala emgodleni singopheka iqhakuba nophempeni ngqawana. Thank you Qayiqasas Mkoni, thank you for the gifts. Siyabulisa singonzotho singonyelenzi singomaphango singongqalonqake nqa sinoxoxo qhamoweleyo bephambili iphuza semtyana ethunga ntombi basemanzothweni. Hoyini bafazi bentsikizi lentsholo niyayiphazama nithabatha isidoda ngoma lihlatyelwe isifazi. Zinkomo zikaNtsibankulu, inkomo zikaHebebe, inkomo zikaMagatyana zikantaba kahili kasiqasomile somilo zanzintshaba kanabele emntwini. Inkomo zikaMbiko zikaMancamu zikamlawu, sihlobo sikaKhawuta, sihlobo sikagcaleka, sihlobo sikaRharhabe, sihlobo sikangqonde sikatugu sikamalangana sikatshiwo. Siyabulisa singonhlane singonqabane singonhlanga singongqungqushe singoziqhelekazi singohlamba obenda amanzi ekhona. Siyabulisa singonyawo zofaka othahla kandayeni omthwa kasiwula. Siyabulisa ke sithi genani. I'm gonna remove the background now. I don't think you need it. My people, yo, there's so much that is going wrong. But the nice thing is that you guys are here, so at least something is going right. There's so much that is going wrong, and we need to address a few things. The network is good, guys. Correct? The network is good. You can just confirm that for me. I'll try and bring this closer. All right, let's start here. Thank you, guys. Let's start here. There's a lot of things, né? You guys know my work. My work is not just language. My work is more than anything, the mind. My name, the name that my mother gave me, is Meliqiniso. Literally, that is my name. It's not in the ID, but that is my real name. Meliqiniso. And then my dad gave me the name Sandile. Sandile is with Samamfenege. And then my mom said Meliqiniso because you have to stand for the truth. And it seems as I'm growing older, the other name that is not on my ID, Meliqiniso, is becoming more and more of my name. I'm becoming more and more like the other name, you see. And that's why I'm all for second names and third names. If you can give your child a second name, if you can get a second name, I'm all for that. Because I think as a person, you are multifaceted. And all the different epithets and characteristics of you as an individual show up at different times in your life. And they find a way to express themselves. This is why our ancestors had many names. This is why Usenza Ngakona was also called Umenzi. Hence Shaka was called Unodumehlezi Kamenzi. This is also why now, when you look at the lineages, the royal lineages, you'll find there's 200 kings there, but then these people have only been around for like 200 years, which means each year they had multiple names for a child. As they grow, they will grow into those different names. In fact, by nature, we are a people of multiple names. When you go through different stages of life, you get different names. Unfortunately now, because of the colonial home affairs system, you have to put one name and then that's it, that's your name. But that's not how it really works in indigenous home affairs. In indigenous, we have multiple names. And I'm saying this because as I grow, I realize that the name Meliqiniso that my mother gave me is really my name. I am that name. So that's one. Two, guys, white supremacy needs you to believe in lies for it to work. And I'm hoping you guys, or at least those who've been watching my stuff about white supremacy, you would know that this is a subject I address consistently. Because white supremacy and the erasure of indigenous identity go hand in hand. White supremacy and religious fanaticism go hand in hand. These are generally other forms of white supremacy. Cults, fascism, apartheid, genocide, ethnocide are all the same thing, one way or another, because they are about erasing who you are in favor of an imposed identity. Genocide, ethnocides are just extremist levels of the same thing. It's a spectrum of consistent erasure. It's an erasure of language. It's an erasure of culture. It's an erasure of systems that have kept people thriving for thousands of years. So do not ever think that when I talk about Kunkia and Koragobab, that I'm not talking about apartheid and colonialism. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing. Just a few days ago, I bumped into an account that talks about cows. And this is a white gentleman explaining to his white brothers that when Jan van Riebeeck arrived, he had no cows. They had no meat whatsoever. I quickly realized that Europeans, for them to consistently maintain a white supremacist worldview, they have to erase the truth in memory. Remember, I told you white supremacy works with erasure. Erase truth. Erase alternatives. Erase alternative narratives. Erase anything that goes against white supremacy. They don't engage. They don't give you the benefit of the doubt. They don't go and do their homework. They erase. This is also why white supremacy tends to be followed by inhumane levels of violence. Unparalleled levels of violence that have never been seen before. Like snatching the nipples of women off their breasts as they did in apartheid South Africa. Breaking into people's houses and taking their sons in the middle of the night and to never be seen again like they did in apartheid South Africa. Shooting 12-year-old and 11-year-old boys who are trying to pick avocados and peaches from trees that are their ancestral land, that are on their ancestral lands, and saying you mistaken them for baboons and that you cannot take any consequences for that. Unaliving indigenous women and feeding them to pigs. Taking young black babies and using them as bait for alligators so that you could farm your alligators, snatch them and make shoes like they did in Jim Crow era America. When black babies were taken and used to hunt alligators, so they were put there as a food to bait the alligators. These are the types of violence that follow a white supremacist narrative. It is always followed by violence, because only through violence can you genuinely erase a people. This is also why you will always talk about police brutality and Black Lives Matter in the United States of America, because that is the only way that it can ever work if the police keep on killing your men every single time. Imagine if black American men are not being killed by police. They're going to take over everything because it is in their nature as a resilient people, a creative people. It is in their nature to dominate other groups. And the groups that know will be dominated always have to come up with a system that promotes violence towards anything that doesn't look like them. The problem is that this violence tends to happen even outside of their native lands. They go into foreign lands and they perpetuate the same level of violence like they did in Australia, like they did in New Zealand, like they did in India, like they did in Papua New Guinea, like they did South Africa, in Zimbabwe, in Kenya, in Mozambique, in Malawi, in Namibia, in all the whole world. They took by bloodshed. What makes you think now somehow they care about your little human rights? Oh no, we have the Constitution to protect us now. We don't need nuclear weapons. Oh no, we have the Constitution we are a constitutional democracy. There's nothing stopping these people from coming to your land, taking whatever they want, pillaging and raping and leaving you like nothing happened. They're still doing it. You think they're not because it's not in your news, because you wait for the news to tell you what's happening. Just go watch what happened in Gaza. Just go watch what's happening in Lebanon. Just go see what happened in Jordan. Just go see what happened in Iran. Just go observe Ukraine. What do you think will stop anyone from coming to your land and taking? Because you have nothing to defend yourself. Not only do you not have nothing to defend yourself physically, mentally, you are a weak and pathetic people who don't have any sense of self-pride and self-knowledge. Weak and pathetic and lost. Now, Europeans are saying, no, there were no cows in South Africa before the Europeans arrived. There were no cows, there were no plants. This is why Elon Musk will go on international platforms and tell you that the white Afrikaners are the reason why Africans in the whole continent can even eat. Do you understand that this is not just a narrative? This is a truth that they believe in as a principle of life, that you owe them for your existence, because without them, you would not even have food to eat. Oh no, they're lying. But look at the system. The system doesn't say they're lying because they run everything. It's useless to come and say they're lying online when you don't live it in your daily experience. If Woolworths would close, what would you eat? If Pick and Pay closes, if ShopRite closes, if Boxer closes, what are you going to be left with? How do you eat? Oh no, Elon Musk is a racist. He's a racist. Yes, he is a bloody racist, but what if the Afrikaners who came and took from you and never had to pay for it, they closed shop? How are you going to eat though? Can you feed yourself? Our ancestors could. They did feed themselves for thousands of years with sorghum, red sorghum, white sorghum, with millet, with our indigenous beans. They fed themselves with wild spinach. For thousands of years, they made their own types of breads. They had an indigenous bakery system. But you don't even know what wheat looks like. You don't even have an idea how to make flour so that you could make bread. You don't know what wheat in Ngolowa, you don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it looks like. So when Europeans say, if we pack our bags and go, these people are going to die of hunger, they are going to die of hunger because that's how it's built. Not only does that, you see, hey, you guys don't understand. It's a game, this thing. That reality alone gives Europeans so much power in South Africa to even change the truth. The fact that they have power over what food you put in your body. The fact that they have power over the clothing you wear to pray. Agree when you need to buy cloths from Europeans to connect to your ancestors. Agree you can't use animal skin now because it's under the control of Europeans as well. For example, Kruger National Park. You can't wear lion skin. You can't connect with your totem anymore. You can't go to the baboons and actually have a conversation with them like your totemic ancestors used to do. You need to wear now a cloth with a baboon print, but you can't even print it yourself. It needs to be printed somewhere in Bangladesh and transported by a Jewish company to South Africa, and then you buy it, and then that's the only way you go pasha. No, I had a dream. I need a cloth that is a lion print. What kind of dream is that to begin with? That is a stupid dream. And I'm telling you right now, it's a stupid dream because you don't even have control over. If the shop says we don't have this cloth, so that's it, it's over for you. You can't practice your beliefs. Do you guys understand how deep this thing goes? Oh no, I'm a prayer warrior, but I need to buy candles from the European shop to be able to pray. Yeah? Do you understand how stupid this sounds? You think Muslims need to go to a non-Muslim shop to do Muslim things? You think Jews need to go to a non-Jewish place in order to be able to do Jewish things? It doesn't make sense. Jews are able to do their Jewish business because they keep it kosher and it's only circulated amongst Jews. Muslims are able to do their Muslim affairs because they keep it halal. It's circulated amongst Muslims. It's Muslims who decide what is halal and what isn't with their Muslim codex, which is the Sharia. The Sharia. The Jews are define what is supposed to be kosher with their Jewish codex, the Torah and the Talmud. How do you decide what is indigenous and what is not? Do you even know what is indigenous? Do you even care to know what is indigenous or what isn't? How do you decide what is genuine umpokoko? How do you decide what is genuine uputu? How do you decide what is genuine mukhobe? How do you decide what is genuine amasi? How do you decide? Do you have processes in place? Do you have codex in place? Do you have laws that define what is amasi? Because you don't. You don't have any processes that guide on how to make amasi. Woolies has taken over and is making money with your ancestral inventions. You know, amasi is a sacred food of Southern Africa, but you don't make money from it. You're busy chasing trading. Let's be traders. Let's do forex. Yes, indigenous industries are being taken over by people who have no idea how the indigenous industries are supposed to work. That's what you should be billionaires selling amasi to the world. You should be billionaires selling uputu to the world. You should be billionaires selling amadumbe. Instead, you are singing about amadumbe. Senkhohlwa amadumbe ekumeni koba ngibuze ngifuna uba nemali eningi. Amadumbe, I don't see them in the stores. It's your food. You're waiting for the Woolworths guys to take amadumbe and sell them on your behalf, and they become more and more billionaires. How do you think billionaires are made? Oh, what about you, Sandile? I'm including myself as well. I'm just a vessel to share the message now. It's hitting me just like it's hitting you. It's not just me alone. It's not just you alone. How many times must I talk to the people of Limpopo and Mpumalanga to say, you people need to run the avocado industry? How the hell are you not running that industry? Just last year, I was buying 6 avocados for 110 Rand at Woolworths. 110 Rand. In, half a crate in Limpopo, you can get it for 100 Rand. Half a crate, half a box, standard box, 100 Rand. You find that there's like 100 avocados there. You sell it half the price that Woolies sells it. They are bigger, they are more organic, they are more rich. You become millionaires and billionaires. Do you understand why Europeans say, no, the black people of South Africa did not have cows. We brought the cows to South Africa. They could not have cows. They say this because they can see even the so-called Nguni cows. The so-called Nguni cows, you find them in Afrikaners' farms. No Nguni person. The Ngunis are not, they don't own that industry of Nguni cows. It's Nguni cows. But you go to Afrikaners farms to get Nguni cows nowadays. The skin of those cows is kumba. It's kumba of the cows that are supposedly Nguni cows. It's kumba. It's sold by Afrikaners. So they have so much control over the very essence of life in Southern Africa that they can even control what is truth and what isn't. And they can change it at will. Like a Thanos snap. They have the power. They've got the infinity stones to change the reality. And whatever Europeans say is truth. Do you know why? Because they control what you put in your mouth. They control what you use to cover your body. They control the books that you read to be able to get a job. They have control over that. They have control over whatever is true. They can make it true today and false tomorrow at will. You do not understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you're not going to fight this battle by just simply fighting online. We need to stand up and move physically. In Dutsuma, you funguke. It you fung. Stand up. Stand up. So that is one of the new truths now that I've learned this week. There's a new truth in town that cows, goats, and sheep came with Europeans, and you guys were just hanging around in trees with your cousins, the baboons, and you were doing nothing. So you can't chase Europeans. You can't even hold them accountable for raping, pillaging, stealing, and continuing to benefit from all that they did. The crimes of the past 500 years. You cannot ask for for repayment for that because you are useless. That's what they are saying, that they cannot be held accountable for doing crimes to you because you deserve it. You are not human. And the way it seems, our people have accepted that, and it's going to continue the way it is. If you want to change that, you have to start changing the way you look at yourself and you look at your people. You need to stop looking down on yourself. You need to stop looking down on your ways. You need to stop looking down on your language. You need to stop looking down on your culture. You need to stop looking down on your history, because only when you understand the intricate details about your history, the history of your forefathers, the moment you understand it in fullness and embrace it, that is the moment you gain the upper hand, because then you don't need to be validated by a scholar from Wits University. The moment you understand what your true history and the scale of your people's civilization is the moment you taste a bit of freedom, because then you don't need validation from a scholar from UCT, from a scholar from Stanford, from a scholar from Harvard, from a scholar from Oxford, from a scholar from Cambridge. You need to know who you are. That's where it begins. That's where it begins. Without knowledge of self, you will be afraid of your own country, of your own land. You are scared. Like right now in Cape Town, you go to the natives are afraid to go to town. They feel out of place in town. Anyone who's been to Cape Town, you go to the nicest places, you don't see native people whatsoever. The few that are there are serving, and at 5 p.m. they get on that bloody taxi, they go home to go and hate each other some more. Wake up in the morning, they go back and be all smiles for 8 hours. At 5 p.m. they hop onto that taxi, they go to hate each other some more. They murder each other every weekend, murder each other every month, murder each other every year. It's not going to end until you decide to take it upon yourself to say, I've had enough. It's not working. Democracy is not working. Western style democracy is not working for me. Who am I? Do we not have systems that have preserved us for thousands of years? If you truly believe you are from this land and you thrived on this land, then there must have been something that your forefathers did. What did your forefathers do that made them thrive? You need to go back there. That's where your power lies. Because then you realize that our ancestors had trade networks, which means they had indigenous industries. actual industries that had rules, that had processes in place without Europeans, without Chinese, without Arabs telling them what to do. And this is what you need to know, that there were already systems in place. And these systems preserved our people for thousands of years. That's all you need to know. But you need to believe it. Just like you believe in heaven, just like you believe in hell and you're afraid of going to hell, you need to believe that you were once a people who could build things. That's it. You have to believe it. Like you believe everything else, you have to believe it. You cannot always be having to be fed by somebody else that, oh, we were once a people who were able to build stuff. You cannot always expect somebody else to tell you. You need to have faith in yourself and believe it. You need to believe it. You have to believe it. I'm telling you, you have to believe that you are capable. You have to believe that your people are able to build systems. You have to believe that your people are able to build a society that actually works. Then that is only the first step to believe. The second step, you need to identify and diagnose what went wrong. That's the second step now. You believe, okay, look, we once did A, B, C, and D. We can see the evidence. We've got names for all these places. We can see the evidence that we were the ones who were thriving in this land. Now, what went wrong? That is diagnosis now. Step 2. I'm giving you a step-by-step approach to freedom. It's not toy-toying. Toy-toying is agitation. You agitate. You're shaking the waters. It's a good thing. Protest and whatever. That is your right. You have to do it. Absolutely. But that is not freedom. Freedom is deeper. So whilst you are protesting during the day, you need to come back and continue this work as well. You understand? Whilst you are getting your financial freedom, there you are working, you are investing, you are buying this and that, you still have to do this as well. Because as rich as you are, you will still be treated like a garden boy in Constantia with your billions. You can even become the president. You can even become the president. You still have to go and be introduced. And be introduced to the Oppenheimers. So, once you believe that your people can build successful systems and a functional society, that is only step 1. You need to believe it, learn it and believe it and accept it as truth. That I accept truthfully with all my heart and my mind and my strength that my ancestors are capable of building civilizations. They are capable of building functional societies. They are capable of building successful and scalable systems. You need to accept those 3 principles. That's the first step. The second step now, I must diagnose what is wrong, because it's not happening as we speak. It's not happening as we speak. What is wrong? So that is the diagnosis now. Accountability is the first step. If you are not willing to be accountable, if you are not willing to be accountable and accept your wrongs, you are doomed. And that is the curse of Africa. Self-imposed, by the way. Africa has self-cursed with lack of accountability. They don't want to criticize. They don't want to expose. They call it dirty linen. No, it's our dirty linen. We'll deal with it. No, it's not your dirty linen. You are hungry. You are pooping on the road in public. Young girls are being married to old men. 12-year-old, 9-year-old girls are being given away as wives. You are mutilating females. That's not dirty linen. That is the lowest you can get. As a human being, you have to be accountable. If not to anyone, at least to yourself. Be accountable, diagnose. Be honest, diagnose. You must diagnose. You can't always be singing for supper and twerking for these elites. You must diagnose that we have a problem of accepting when our people are wrong. We have a problem. We don't want to admit that we are wrong. We don't want to admit that our values are obsolete now. We have to we have to renew our way of life. No. Instead, if the person is Zulu, the person is doing something wrong, as a Zulu person, you feel like defending them. No. If the person is Xhosa and you are also Xhosa and they did something wrong, you want to defend them. If the person is Tsonga and you are also Tsonga and they're doing something wrong, you want to defend them. You are doomed by yourself. You will not advance. You will not be at the same level as the rest of the world. You will always be behind because you are doomed mentally. You are behind. You are of a lower kind. You are of a lower caliber. A caliber that lacks discipline, that lacks accountability, and no one should even sympathize with you if you are from that sort of society. If you want to live in a society where there's no wrong, as long as the person is like you, where there's no wrong, as long as the person benefits you, then you are doomed. Diagnose the problem and accept that there's lack of accountability. Diagnose the problem too, that it's internal more than it is external. That is the second diagnosis you have to get to, that the problem lies more with me than it lies with the outsider. It's not a European who carries a gun on a Saturday and goes to Enyanga, a Mau Mau, and kills the teenage boys who are 19 years old there. It is not a European man from the Netherlands who goes to New Crossroads, Guguletu, Samora Machel, Brown's Farm, Emlazi, Kwamashu, Mtanzane. It is not a European who goes to Soweto, Tembisa, Alex, and rape the women and killed each other, the brothers. It is you. So you have to get to a point where you make the second diagnosis that I need to deal with the internal issue before I point outside. First diagnosis, accountability. Once you accept that accountability has to be inherent, if there is no accountability, everything else we are saying is useless. Once you accept that accountability is a problem, the lack of it, then you accept that there's more work to be done internally than externally. So you first criticize yourself. What are you doing wrong? What are you doing wrong? You're not the only society who went through pain and suffering. But look at Singapore. Look at Singapore. And they are even poorer than you in terms of resources, by the way. But look at them. They eat the meat and chew out the bone and spit out the bones. Chew the meat, spit out the bones. Take what works, leave what doesn't. So, that is the second diagnosis, that I need to do the internal work. I need to address what's wrong inside the house before I point to the neighbor. Then thirdly, once you fix the internal structure, once the bonds are stabilized and intact, you deal with the outside problem decisively. You're not going to be able to deal with the outside problem when the outside problem has internal allies. The enemy outside can do you no harm when there are no enemies within. I repeat, the enemy outside can do you no harm when there are no enemies within. So you fix the enemies within first. That's why you need to get to that level of accountability and then use that tool of accountability to cleanse out the enemies within. Those are the more dangerous ones because they know every corner. They know exactly where the weaknesses are. They know exactly what to expose. They are capable. They are lethal. Those are the ones you must deal with. Why do you think you don't know who actually killed Steve Biko? You don't know because it's the enemy within. You don't know who killed Chris Hani for real. You don't know who made the call because it's the enemy within. Why do you think the guys who manipulated the rand are not arrested? Because it's the enemy within. You think it's the enemy outside? The enemy outside works with the enemy within. So you need to get to a point where you accept that, no, we are not the same people because we don't believe in the same values now. I don't care what you look like. You are not my people because you are destroying us. You know, you are a parent, you have a child, a son, and your son is a drug addict. There are two types of parents. One parent is going to acknowledge that my son is a drug addict. He steals from the neighbors. He steals from the house. He needs help. Take him. Take him to rehab. Fix him. Or some parents will even say, I disown him. Get out, you criminal. But then there's a second type of parent who will see that their child is a criminal and a drug addict and a drug dealer, but because it's their child, because it's connected to them directly, they cannot acknowledge, they cannot appreciate values more than their selfishness. So their selfishness is bigger than the bigger picture to them. And those are the people who are the enemy. You are the enemy if you cannot see the wrong that is being done in your own house. You are the enemy if you cannot see the wrong that is being done by your own people. You are the enemy if you cannot see the wrong that is being done by your people, by your circle, by those you get along with. You are the enemy. So when you then say you want freedom, you must be able to go through those steps. You must believe that you are capable of building. You are capable of maintaining. You are capable of scaling. You must believe that truthfully your ancestors were here and they built and they survived. That is the first one. You need to believe it. You cannot always be trying to argue with people back and forth. You believe it. Just like you believe that your creator is there and you're going to go to heaven someday. You have to believe this as well. Then you have to diagnose what the problem is. Because the reality out there is that you have no power at all. You have no control at all. You have no influence at all as a people. You are just a background actor in your own ancestral country. So you have to acknowledge that there needs to be accountability. Secondly, we have to fix the problems that are within. Then you start to realize that it was our people who worked with the Afrikaners to give them the power they have today. I'm not talking about apartheid. I'm talking about in the days of the trekkers. They used some of our people to kill others. They used some of our people to take the lands of others. Who do you think killed Enga Murosi? Do you not know that it was the Sotho working with the British and the Coloureds in the Cape Mountain Riflemen who killed Murosi? Do you not know that? Do you not know that it was Ngika who was in bed with the Europeans against his own Khakhabe brothers? Do you not know that it was Mswati who worked with the British as a British protectorate, and the Tswanas who worked with the British together with the Basutus who worked with the British? Do you not understand that as South Africa, the so-called republic, which was based on the union of the Afrikaners and the English, which was based on the earlier invasion of the British and the Dutch, do you not know that that republic had 3 independent states out of it, which were previously Bantustans, the Lesotho Kingdom, Eswatini, and Botswana? Do you not know that those people of ours in those lands were like, no, we side with you. We are not going to get involved in the affairs of South Africa. It is the problem within. The Dutch and the English had power because some of our people handed it over to them. Do you not know that the first police that were hunting down our people were our own children, were our own mixed race descendants? Who do you think was hunting down our people? You think it was Europeans? They didn't even know the topography of the land. They depended on our own people. From Cape Town to Limpopo, they depended on our own people to be able to hunt us down and kill us. So unless we get to the point where we accept that the problem is within, you're not going to solve the problem that is outside. You're not going to be able to address Israel. Trust me, you're not going to win against Israel. You're not going to win against the USA. You're not going to win against the invasion of South Africa by the African and Asian continents. When the Amamfeng were fighting Amaxhosa, siding with the British crown, that is the problem within. Bamangwato declaring Christianity as a religion of the clan and refusing to fight, because those days when you were a Christian, you were on the side of the Anglicans, on the side of the English. The problem within. If there are no enemies within, the enemies outside will do you no harm. So we have to get to a point where you take all the dirt of our past, lay it bare. You have to be able to lay it bare. If you can't lay it bare, the dirt of our past, you're not going to deal with the problems of today. Because the problems of today, the thieves you have in parliament, the criminals, the rapists, the lootists, all those women abusers and child abusers, which many of them have been, obviously, a lot of them have been exposed. Yabo. All those people, man, some of them are former inmates. They come from the prison system. You're not going to be able to deal with those people unless you understand where they come from, why they are where they are. How is it that criminals are in parliament in South Africa? People who break the law, people who hate the law. How is it they are in parliament in South Africa? Because it's the enemy within. It's the ANC, the enemy within. IFP, enemy within. EFF, enemy within. DA, enemy within. Working with the enemy outside. Because we know the DA is literally the descendant of the National Party and the Democratic Party. That's what the DA is. Freedom Front Plus, enemy outside, now recently starting to work with enemy within. You understand? They are both enemies, they're not friends. You don't ever think that the ANC is your friend. The IFP is not your friend, the EFF is not your friend. Western approved systems are not your friend. I've been telling you, as per the words of Dr. Clark, there is no system, no idea, no belief, no concept, no ism and schism that has come from outside except to dominate you. Whether it comes from the Arabs or from the Europeans or the Asians, it comes to push the narrative of those people. There's nothing that will come from Asia, man, that will benefit you without benefiting them. There's nothing that's going to come from China. And I like China. It's a nice place nice thing they did there for their people. It's a nice thing the Chinese did for the Chinese people. Beautiful. Taking 600 million people out of poverty in 2 decades. But it's for the Chinese people, it's not for you. A few years ago, last time I checked, there was 1 million Chinese people in Africa. There's probably close to 2 million now. They are running businesses. They are extracting the resources from the land. Exactly the same way that the Europeans came and established mining industries. They are extracting resources from your land, taking them back home. While the Zambians are here, and the Zimbabweans are here, and the Nigerians are here, and the Cameroonians are here, trying to extract from here, the Chinese are extracting in their countries. Just a few days ago, I was watching a video of a Chinese telling Zimbabweans that they have no right to disagree with her in Zimbabwe. How do the Chinese have power to operate like that in Zimbabwe? Because the Zimbabwean elites allow it. How is it that Congo is in the situation it's in? Because the Congolese elites allow it. The Nigerian elites allow it. The Cameroonian elites allow it. And the South African elites allow it as well. They allow every chaos that is happening in South Africa. So you need to get to a point that you are able to accept that the enemy, the problems within have to be sorted first. Once you get to that point, I'm giving you a strategy to freedom now. This is the principle that UNGXOXO, my own movement, my own organization, that I run to solve our own problems, because I don't have to depend on Europeans, Chinese, or other Africans or Asians to solve my problems. I'm capable. I believe in myself and in my forefathers and in my future generations. I believe. I've accepted that accountability has to be non-negotiable. And I've identified the internal problems and the enemies within. I don't align with popular personalities. I don't align. I was telling you about INGXOXO ENKULU and that, guys, stop worshipping these people. There's a bigger thing happening here. And we are not the last one. We're not the first or last to deal with this. There's a bigger thing happening. Why have you not learned to stop worshipping personalities? If they're aligned with your goal, you can engage them, but You don't need to worship them, because tomorrow you realize they got 3 million rand from Ramaphosa. Tomorrow you realize, no, these people are just, they're hopping on trends so that they could get a gig with whatever, Zanzi Magic or whatever other thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? The big picture here is that this land has to come back to the indigenous. It has to come back to benefit our people. It's what I want is to see Amasi billionaires. Like you have tech billionaires in the USA from Silicon Valley. We have to have Amasi billionaires from the Amasi industry, from the dairy industry that we run ourselves. We need to see big refineries. We need to see big mills of our people making wheat, making sorghum mills, whatever it's called, maize mill, but based on sorghum. Our own indigenous food industry has to be owned and controlled by our people. That is what I want to see. The most influential players in this society have to be indigenous people. So you have to acknowledge that there's an enemy within, and that is the first one you have to deal with. Anything else you are playing. If you think you're going to fight the international order without fighting the order in your home, you are playing. Then once you get to that point of acknowledging that, then you build a strong internal sifting system. Do you know, one of the things I learned, I was 18 years old, I was 17 years old, I was doing matric. I went through hell with people that I know. I went through hell with people that I know. They could not understand how I'm doing so well in school. It was so bad. It woke me up, though, from a delusion that I used to have as a teenager. It woke me up to the reality that, no, these are not my people. Because my people cannot be actively trying to destroy my life. Guys, the person who's hijacking you when you drive your car because they want it for themselves, they are not your people. A person who's going to take your daughter and change them into a prostitute, they are not your people. A person who's going to steal taxpayers' money, they are not your people. You have to wake the hell up and realize that for them to be your people, they have to have your interests at heart. If this means I'm a fringe, I am a fringe. But you are not my people if you don't benefit me in the long run and this land and the future generations of this land. If you are busy trying to wipe away the bloodlines of this land, you are not my people. I don't care even if you look exactly like me. You are not my people. Because for you to be my people, you have to meet certain criteria. You have to meet certain criteria. You know, there in Orania, in that despicable disgrace of a place called Orania, your whiteness will not guarantee you a spot there. They don't play there. Your whiteness will not guarantee you a spot because they know to their deranged strategy and their deranged future, whatever they're planning for the future. They need a specific type of Afrikaner. Not just any Afrikaner can be accepted there. Not just any Afrikaner. It has to be a specific type. You must fall in these categories. Because they understand for the agenda they have, which you should already know about, you have to be a specific type of deranged lunatic. That's the exact same level of purity you must seek. Just because you speak Xhosa or Kwinkia or whatever, if your mindset is a mindset of an oppressor, you're not my people. I'm sorry. I'm telling you today. Because for me to be able to fight that which is outside, I cannot be looking over my shoulder with the ones that are inside. So the ones that are inside, I must know that when I go out there and I lose my life, my kids have countless fathers and mothers left behind. This is the premise of the whole thing about it takes a village to raise a child. It can only take a village to raise a child if that bloody village are driven by the same things in a macroscopic level. It can only take a village to raise a child if that village have the same intact values. But if that village is trying to destroy you, that child of yours who's left behind will suffer when you're gone. Why do you think these days, when you lose your parents, your aunties and your uncles start blocking you on all social media? They block you on the phone, they block you everywhere. You're left alone because the enemy within. So once you have a system then to sift and assess and see that, no man, this person is not supposed to be here. They are an imposter. You can't kick them out because they don't deserve to be part of our society. So we are building a renewed society of indigenous South Africans. That's it. That's what's happening right now. We are building a renewed society. A society that has self-love, a society that has self-determination, a society that is able to build for itself, does not need 370 rand a month from some thief who owns a farm called Pada. We don't need 2,000 rand a month as a grant from thieves who abuse women and children, who steal from the public, who are criminals and enemies of the people. We don't need anything from them. We can build for ourselves, buy ourselves, maintain for ourselves. We can absolutely survive. We don't need the World Bank. We don't need the IMF. We don't need the World Health Organization. We don't need the Seed Bank. We don't need the South African Reserve Bank that is owned by shareholders, in most of them in other countries. We don't need any of that nonsense. We can build and maintain and sustain and advance our own ways of doing things, like the Chinese did, like the Singaporeans did, like the Indians are doing right now. You may say all sorts of bad things about the Indians in India. The Indians are building for themselves. They are building, they are literally the majority now in the world. And in the next few years, if they maintain the good discipline and they stop being delusional and trying to align with this or that, they align with their own needs, the Indians are going to get to a nice place. They are called the Asian tigers now because they decided, you know what, let's just build our own things, man. It's enough. It's enough. Let's build our own things. Burkina Faso is building and it's good for them. Nigeria must take the same strategy. Zimbabwe must take the same strategy. Tina here, we have a much deeper job to do because we need to cleanse this thing. We need to cleanse these things. Black men, you native South African men, stop acting like babies in front of white men. You are weak. You black South African men are weak, and you lick the asses of white men. You change and become an infant in front of Europeans, you South African men. You Prince Machel. There's a specific type of South African man who has a problem of turning into an infant. They can even dance when they see a bus, John or bus, Rob Herzog, whichever. Hey, they go to that Rob Herzog like, I don't know, like they are promised something. When they see Rob Herzog, this black man, they go there, they act like babies. You know, a child who hasn't seen the father for a week, maybe your father was busy working. When your father's back, you go there running to your father and you tell him all the useless stories. Black South African men are like that when they see white men. It's embarrassing, to say the least. It is an absolutely embarrassing thing to see. You guys, you act like infants. You infantilize yourself for the approval of white men. And I'm talking about you, black men. You are weak. You are broken. Then you need to accept it so that you can raise yourselves up from this despicable position that you are in. How can we build a society that works when you have infantilized yourselves? And this is the exact same thing that I see in the whole of Africa. The infantilization of the men. These men are not infants. They've done unspeakable evils to their families. Mandela is being praised. Oh no, he's the great one. Mandela, Zuma, the great one. The things they've done to people around them are unspeakable. What happened to Kwezi? The woman Zuma raped and then he took a shower afterwards. No, it doesn't matter. Kwezi is useless. But Kwezi is what makes society. It's the people that don't have anything to give you. Those are the people that make up society. If society only will be focused on the rich guys, on the influential people, then you're not building a society then. You're not building a society. Look at the Mandela family. Just look at that family. It's in rags. It's a despised family. It's not important for anything. What is the legacy of Mandela? What is the legacy of Mandela in Kunu? What is it, really? What other important thing is happening in Kunu? There's no sports tournament that he left behind to uplift the kids from poverty. There's no private school that's going to empower the kids to build for themselves. There's no aviation school so that the kids can fly around the country and all over the world and help the elderly women and men of those villages to travel. What has been left behind for the people of Kunu? Nothing. But we just build statues. Let's just build statues, guys. Let's just build statues. And I'm not talking about Mandela himself. I'm saying even the people around him. You're supposed to build. If Mandela's job was to sacrifice himself, which is questionable, people who sacrifice themselves is people like Robert Sobukwe, Steve Biko, especially those two, in my opinion. I'll stick to them. They sacrifice themselves. But even them, for nothing for the most part, because the wolves, the hyenas that they left there, they've destroyed everything. Uchonyan, and many others, guys, by the way. There are many others who sacrifice themselves, whose names we will never know. Our uncles, our great uncles, our aunts who disappeared in the hands of the apartheid government. But even before the apartheid, we had many forefathers who died in battle with the British invaders, with the Dutch invaders, with the Portuguese invaders. Our people died. So it's not a new thing. Solomon Mahlangu, at least we know him. There are many that were hanged with him that we don't even know. Sons and daughters of the land. So that is not even a problem. We need to fix the internal problem then. We need to fix those within us who are using that proximity to destroy us. Then once you fix that, you're able to deal with those who are outside, because inside the house is clean. You sleep with your eyes closed, with your door unlocked, because nobody's going to wake up and stab you in the chest while you sleep. But when the ones who are inside are unclean, when the ones who are inside, they're unclean, you can't rest at night. You can't rest at night. Remember, guys, I'm giving you a strategy to freedom here. That's what I'm doing. To get your freedom, you need to go through this process. I'm giving you the Indigenous Bible now. I said, step number 1, you have to believe. First and foremost, you have to believe that you are from this land. We're not going to be debating with people who are telling us they come from Cameroon. You come from Cameroon, go to Cameroon. I don't have space for that nonsense. And then once you believe, you must believe that your ancestors can build, have built, and you can build as well. You can build successful societies that are clean and functional. You have to believe it and want it. You have to believe that you can build for yourself, and you must want to build for yourself. You have to believe you can scale and replicate in other places for yourself before anybody else, and you must want to do it. If you don't believe that you can build, and if you don't want to build, then don't waste time. Go sell yourself, go be a drug addict somewhere. It's fine, because you have the right today to decide what you want to do. But those who say, I'm tired of this nonsense, that doesn't work. This nonsense of a made-up rainbow nation, that doesn't work. It works for a few. It's small things. You drive. You go to any nice place, drive around on a rainy day. Look who's in the cars and look who's on the pavement of the road. And you tell me, is that a good thing? Is that a good thing that a certain group of people must always suffer? But if they want to continue suffering, absolutely, you guys will continue suffering. Like the rest of Africa, you will eat cow shit. In Nigeria, people try to protest in Nigeria, they're given bags of rice and they go back running home. This is what happens when you allow people who have no interest to keep you safe, to keep you well-fed, to keep you well-educated. When you have delegated your life to others, when you have given up the will to live and self-determine, this is what happens. You sink to a level below that of baboons. You sink to a level below that of baboons. Okay, I see people are trying to defend the dignity of Mandela. Someone mentioned the Kunu Clinic that Mandela opened in 2001. And then another person mentioned Mandela's Children's Hospital. That's good. I acknowledge those two things. I'm sure he did more projects. I'm sure Mandela did more projects. I'm sure Zuma did projects. I'm sure Thabo Mbeki did projects. I'm pretty sure Ramaphosa also did projects. It's what happens. But my point, you guys don't understand. I'm not necessarily speaking literally in terms of, he didn't do anything. Obviously, it's not possible to not do anything when you're in office. You will do stuff. My point is this. A new generation cannot be born carrying the problems of the previous two generations. If you say you've changed things, that's what I'm saying. If you say you've changed things in a place, a new generation has to be born with absolutely no idea of how it is to suffer like the previous generations. And it's not an attack on Mandela or Zuma or Mbeki. It's an attack on the structure of the system, because Zuma is only one individual. He works with groups of people. It's those people plus him. Mandela is one individual. He works with a group of people. It's those people plus him. Symbolically speaking, what is the Eastern Cape known for? That's the legacy you look at. You don't look at, he built one clinic and one hospital. That is absolutely inconsequential. That is immaterial in the bigger scheme of things. What is the Eastern Cape known for right now as we speak? That is the legacy of the man who came from there. That's what I'm talking about here. We're talking about macroeconomic scales now. Look at the bigger picture. You must completely transform the life of the people of a place. The Eastern Cape needs to be known as the place of A, B, C, and D. Everybody in the world goes to the Eastern Cape to do aviation. I'm giving an example. But today, people in the Eastern Cape are eating ubulongwe, cow dung, just to survive and not die. They're eating cow dung because the people there are destroying it. Thank you guys for the gifts. Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate them. Please keep them coming. They motivate me, So, as I said, you believe that you can build stuff. You want to build stuff. Your ancestors have built stuff. 2, you acknowledge that there has to be accountability, which I just did now. I just did a little agitation with your favorite people. I could criticize even Robert Sobukwe. I could criticize even Chris Hani. I could criticize them. That is what accountability is. I don't hate them. I like them. I like Biko even more. I've worn t-shirts with Sobukwe's face since I was a teen. I've worn t-shirts with Biko's face since I was a teen. I love this man, but I'm capable of criticizing them. It's absolutely difficult to build. That's why you must want to. It is absolutely difficult to build. This is why you must want to build. It is difficult. You must want it. You must believe in it. Sometimes you may not even complete it. Like I would say, the generation of the Mandelas. It's an incomplete project. It's even more sad now because that project has been taken 50 steps back. Hey, guys, man. Hey. Don't tell me about Mandela, guys. You're not understanding what's happening here. This is exactly what I'm saying. You are unable to think beyond what you like. If someone speaks about someone you like, you lose everything. What I'm saying, this is a bigger thing that we are dealing with here. You need to be able to criticize even the people you like, Mandela or otherwise. If you're not able to criticize them, then you're not going to be able to see the problems that are existing within your own people, caused by your own people. We know everyone is imperfect. It's not about Mandela or Zuma or what. These are demonstrations. You demonstrate with real life case studies. Mandela is a case study. Zuma is a case study. Mbeki is a case study. It's bigger than them. We've been fighting with outsiders for the past 500 years. I don't give a damn about no damn Mandela or Zuma or Mbeki. These are little children compared to what the chiefs and the kings had to die for in 1486. Our kings died in 1486. Blood was spilled. They didn't have time to sit on the table with the Europeans. What I'm saying is the fight is not going to stop. Whether Mandela is 95 or 80 or what, nobody forced Mandela to do anything. He did whatever he wanted to do, and it's fine. Those who want to worship him can worship him. But in this life, we're talking about building now. You need to be able to build. Forget about Mandela. Forget about Zuma. What are you building? What are you building? Do you even understand what I'm doing actually here? Because I gave you a step-by-step process to achieve your freedom. After you deal with the problems that are within, which is where the Mandelas and the Zumas come in, I'm saying you must be able to criticize them and hold them to account, particularly whilst they're still in office. The moment they're out of office, there's very little they can do for us. After you are able to do that, the next step now, once you've cleaned your house, you can deal with the outsiders, guys. That's the thing. You're not going to be able to deal with outsiders when you can be poisoned by your own people. How do you fight Israel when Israel has an entire army in your country in the form of the DA and the Freedom Front Plus? Yeah? And the Patriotic Alliance. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're not going to be able to fight the outsiders when inside the house you have enemies. So in the new society of our people that we're going to build, you will absolutely know your identity, your Zulu identity, your Sotho identity, whatever. But you will also understand that these identities are just vessels through which you maintain relations. Your bloodline is bigger than these hegemonic vessels. So your being Sotho is a vessel. 5,000 years ago, you were not Sotho, you had a different vessel. The key here is, what kind of life are you living now? What kind of values are you passing down? What are you building? More than anything, we need to be concerned with building. Guys, build. Build things, you will see what suffering is. Because when you build, you're not expecting someone else to hand you stuff. You build, and you pass down a culture of building from father to son, from mother to daughter, from father to daughter, from mother to son. You pass down a culture of building and building for self. That culture will not be easily broken. So once you fix the house, you can deal with the outside. Once you deal with the outside now, it's very easy. It's very easy because we're speaking in one voice. We speak with one voice, we kill the lies, we own the narrative of what is what. So, when I have Afrikaners coming online to lie that Bona, they came with cows when they came here, and our people don't know how to farm. How can our people not know how to farm? How can our people not know how to farm when we had indigenous native cattle? We had cows. They call them Nguni cows today. Amaqegu. Those are our native cows. We have native sheep, native goats, imbuz, dipudi, birib, igusha, izimvu. All these are animals that were kept here from the Cape all the way to Limpopo. But because these people have the power, they have the power to close down your food. Because if ShopRite stops selling, most of you South Africans are not going to eat. They can also have the power to change the truth. They have the power to say you come from Cameroon, and tomorrow they can change it and say, no, you came from Kenya. 3 days later, they can change it and say, oh no, you actually came from Middle East. Anyone who has been studying these things knows what I'm saying is the truth. They've been changing it left, right, and center. I've read books that say the people of this country are actually from Asia. Read the book, The Origin of the Bantu. It was sponsored by the apartheid government, the book. In that book, they say it explicitly that no, the people of South Africa come from Asia. Because they have control over your food supply, they have control over the clothes you wear, they have control over the candle you use to pray, over the candle you use to upasha. They have control over the production of amahia that you wear and you claim to connect with your ancestors with amahia that they have control over. They also have control over who you are and what you are and where you come from and your history and everything about you. They have control. You think they don't? They have. They've changed it at will in the past. I've always said their power is so much that they can just turn or snap you into and out of reality, into and out of existence. For the longest time, you know, the world, when you mention South Africa, they don't think of you and me. It's like in the world, you don't exist. In the international scale of things, for the longest time, when you say South Africa, people think, oh, damn, it's a country of white people, most, isn't it? You don't exist. But 8 in 10 people look like you and me. That is what power is. It's not noise on social media. It's building, taking space. You take space with institutions. You take space with systems. You build institutions that are going to outlive you. Oh no, Tina, on weekends we prefer to drink and dance. We prefer to drink and dance. Oh, Kilimanjaro. Indama yase Jericho. We come with all sorts of trends. We are good at making beats and dance challenges on TikTok. Twerking, Bacardi, Amapiano, Likompo. We dance. Dust comes up. We are the best dancers, Baba. But Pick n Pay closes their doors. Boxer closes their doors. ShopRite closes their doors. Checkers closes their doors. Spar closes their doors. Woolworths closes their doors. You die of hunger. Clicks closes their doors and Discam. You can't even get medication. Although your ancestors left you with a wealth of knowledge on herbs and healing. Materia medica. Methodus medindi. Indigenous healing. Indigenous medicine. Nobody cares about it. Even the so-called sangomas, they are busy focused on umjolo and killing this person and lawyer that person. Oh, Gogoma, when they are busy showing pythons, snakes on TV. Nothing of material. Nothing to do with our people whatsoever. You don't even have indigenous systems of storing value like our ancestors had. Imisele, you know, these underground pharaohs where they stored food. They had this baya where they stored wealth in the form of cattle. They had tools, weapons where they stored wealth as well. You know, weapons of war. I agree, you needed precious metals to make weapons. They had their own ways of storing value. Banking, that's what banking is. They had their own systems of borrowing. Ukusisa, ukunqoma. Azibuye, emasisweni. Ukusisa, it's a type of loan. You give someone, they get back to their feet, they bring it back. No, we did eat fish a lot. We did eat fish a lot. We have different types of fish. One of the most famous ones, the fish known as Isakomolo, the steenbras fish. It's one of the most famous ones. Isakomolo, but there are many others. Ikwacha, Isakomolo. I've got a list. We did have even indigenous fishing, not only fish but fishing. You fish with the wire, udobo. You fish with the stick. You fish with the reeds. You create lines, line fishing. You create lines and then you trap the fish. Or you fish with nets, nut. And we ate shells as well, a lot actually. Shellfish, a lot. For example, mussels, we call them amazwembezi, mussels, amazwembezi, or imbatis. And then you had other shells which we call onokeke or onokenge. We ate even crabs, you know. Amaqakuba, ononkala. Our ancestors say, Tina sipeki kakuba ne pim pim gingawan. Ikaguba is a crab. Pim pim is it's a scorpion. We even ate scorpions and crocodiles. We ate even elephants, guys. Oh, imbakisi, yes, it's the oysters. Excuse me. Imbakisi is the oysters. Izwembezi it's the mussels. That you guys are paying big monies now at Ocean Basket and at John Dory's, that place with poisonous food. At John Dory's and all these other ugly seafood places to feed you stuff that are absolutely readily available. Hi man, guys, yeah, you are making me now. You are making me realize I'm making mistakes. So, imbaza is a mussel. Izwembezi is an oyster. Its other name is imbakisi. Yeah, that is the correct one. Imbaza, mussel, zwembezi, oyster. Then it's also called with a much more rude name. The oyster is also called imbakis, but that's a rude name. I don't think it's a name that children should even know about. All right. So my point here was, upon hearing this gentleman say that Europeans are the ones who brought cattle to the land, I understood why they would have such an audacity to make such a claim that they came with the cows. We were just hanging around trees, you know, jumping from one tree to the next like the apes that we are according to white supremacy. I understand why they would think like that. Because when you have power in a place, you have power to even change the truth into what you want it to be. You make the truth whatever suits you. It becomes the truth. This is what our people don't understand, that even within the indigenous setting, the groups that dominate others are the ones that determine who those others are. When we tell you, you will like, no, it's impossible because somebody who's in charge decided that they are not. When we tell you, no, they're not because somebody who's in charge decided not. You understand? So there's also a scale to this self-determination thing. So now the step I was mentioning is in your freedom, your real freedom now, you're able to deal with the enemy outside. But how do you deal with the enemy outside? In truth, what do you actually do to deal with the enemy outside? It's a multifaceted approach. I propose that the very first thing you focus on, after having done all those steps that I mentioned, if you missed the steps, you have to go and rewatch this live on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, Sandile Tukani. If you missed the steps that I was mentioning, because I'm giving you a process of freedom, a real freedom, not freedom that you get 370 a month, but a freedom where you decide what the future is. To be able to do that, you need to attain your freedom without anyone's help. And I gave step by step. Now, we've dealt with accountability. We've dealt with the enemy within. We believe that we are capable of building things. We know historically we built stuff. Now, how do we actually build those things? That's what you do. To fight the enemy outside, you need to build sustainable, standing systems. Now, these systems have to cut across industries. Again, you lean into indigenous history to understand how to run your systems. I'll give you an example. The codex of the people must be based on umthetho/mulawu. Umthetho/mulawu is absolutely not the same thing as law. Because law, as we understand it, is based on Roman and Dutch law in South Africa, which has been, for the most part, influenced by the Theodosius Codex, the Theodosian Code, which is a bunch of laws from the Roman Empire era to protect the Roman superiority, which has been translated nowadays to white supremacy. So that kind of stuff, your prima facie, your stare decisis, all those different principles, you take them, you chuck them out. You incline towards umthetho, mulawu, which is the guiding principles of the basis of our society. That is the first thing, you reconstruct umthetho. The beauty is that umthetho is already there. That one of the most important principles of indigenous law is that every child has two parents. That is one of the most important indigenous laws. Every child has two parents. There's no single parent here. It's one of the ugliest things that we inherited from these multi-generational oppression that we've been through. There is no single parent. You cannot have a child if you are not married. Hear me and hear me well. Even if you give birth to a child biologically, in indigenous umthetho /mulawu/gaude, that child is not yours. You have no claim over that child because you did not declare it publicly and offered assets in exchange for your claim over that child, and got accepted by two families and had multiple days of celebration and were absolutely allowed publicly to eat from the kettle of the new family, from the amasi of the new family, and dressed up with new clothes, not clothes from Europe, indigenous leather made by our people. If you are not married, that child is not yours. That child belongs to the father and mother of the daughter, because it came out of the womb of the daughter. It represents the descendants of the mother and father. You want that child, you go to the mother and father. With your mother and father, you apologize, you cleanse this evil act you did. Because you did an evil thing by sleeping with a child of another family behind the back of the parent and making them pregnant. You need to cleanse your evil acts and pay the punishable deed you did. Pay. Then you come forward openly and say, look, I want to have a claim over the child. We are getting married. And now you are owners of a home. Abaninimzi. That is the first law. There is no single parent. There is no single parent. There's no single parent. It does not exist. It's not there. In the society that I'm building, there is no single parent. So if you want to go and do your little European stuff of single parents, go and live in the toxic ANC republic, not in our indigenous society. There's no single parent. So if you think you're going to go around impregnating people and leaving that child to be traumatized and fatherless, think again. It's not going to work. You're a criminal. That's one of the most important laws. Second law is that wealth is circulated within families. People think you have isibongo, a clan, siboko, isiduko. They think you have that for fun. Do you not understand that it is a wealth protection mechanism? It is a hedge to protect the wealth of your bloodline. Wealth in our culture is also spiritually connected, because wealth is not just about what reflects on your asset portfolio or your savings account or whatever portal you use. Wealth for us is literally connected to the spiritual systems of the land. So wealth and spirituality are connected together. That is why when you are spiritually dry and deprived, you are poor. Look at all the billionaires. They quickly realize that at some point, there's a spiritual element to this thing. Most of the time, they choose the wrong side, but they know there's a spiritual element to this thing. And they align themselves with something bigger than them. Although they do tend to invoke other entities, ancient beings. They do tend to invoke ancient spirits, But they understand that wealth and the spiritual systems of the land are connected. Our ancestors actually materialized it in the form of cows and seeds and gold and ship and tools. Everything had a spiritual aura to it. And wealth was connected to that. It was connected to the land because precious metals are buried deep within the land. They are buried deep within the land. Why do you think the royal family, when a child was born, they took blood from animals of the land? A leopard, a lion, a sheep, a python. Leopard, ferocity. Lion, authority. Sheep, humility and balance. Python, wealth and opulence. You know that wealth is symbolized by snakes, because they crawl deep into the bosoms of the earth. In ancient cosmology, I won't even call it mythology, it is creeping animals. Whether they fly in the sky, you call them kanyamba or khanyapa, or whether they creep underground, the koloma or indloja, no pap. These creeping animals are the ones that are associated with wealth. Nyok. That's why they go and twala. No, you don't have to twala, man. These entities have been alive on earth. They live with us. You don't have to go and twala and try to manipulate things. It's natural, these things. So, our royalties, you take those 4 bloods, you mix them together. And if you are scared of this, you should go and read your Bible, how the Israelites took blood and put it on the post of their doors when they were in Egypt. Blood is nothing evil. Don't be scared. No, it's blood. Hey, it's witchcraft. Mara Europeans are doing it every day, bon. The Muslims are doing it. They're always slaughtering stuff. The Jews are always slaughtering stuff. Always slaughtering, taking chickens and doing stuff. You scared. They're child of the royals, baptized in blood and washed in blood. I won't get too deep into it because it's not for you to know. But the point is, afterwards, when a king takes over, a stone is given to the king. A stone, a precious stone. It's got different names. Some use the ancient diamonds of the land, Imbogot. Others use the ancient gold, Ndalamo, on Zalamo stone. In some cultures, they will swallow the stone. In some cultures, they keep it with them. And Europeans are going to come and tell us they discovered gold in the Witwatersrand. They did not discover anything. They were told that there's gold in the 1670s. Jan van Riebeeck was told by the Qinikwa that there's gold inside the country. And he was told that the wife of Kaintina, who had been raised in the East, wore gold in her body. When they went to show Jan van Riebeeck the gold that she was wearing in the 1600s, they were killed by the Okhokwa. It's there in the diaries of Jan van Riebeeck. When Europeans are telling you that they discovered gold, when they're telling you that they brought the cows, they are playing with you because they know that the hunger transcends just your cupboards. The hunger transcends just your refrigerator. The hunger is in the mind. It's in your spirit. You're hungry for their narrative. And when they tell you their narrative and you're satisfied because you yourself are a white supremacist who worships whiteness, you need white people to tell you what is ABC. and D, even if they say A is Z and Z is E, you will accept it because it comes from those that conquered your spirit. Your spirit is a slave to them. Your mind is a slave to them. Your soul is a slave to them. You need to fight for it. That is your freedom. So that you don't have characters like Prince Mashile. When they see Rob Herzog, they become like babies seeing their fathers. You know, when a young baby sees their father from work, the baby loses all senses. The baby will say everything, even things that don't make sense. Children will say things that don't make sense. They're excited to see their father. Daddy, today I saw the sky. Daddy, look, there's a cloud. Daddy, look, the air. Daddy, those birds are mine. And the daddy will be like, yes, my child, they are yours. Because the child is an infant. They're in their suggestible state of mind. These black men, these black women, when they see white supremacy, they drool. They drool because their souls are in the ownership of these oppressors. They have oppressed themselves in the absence of oppression. In the absence of oppression, they have no self-love. They have no love for the country. They have no love for the land. They don't feel anything when they look at the rivers of this land. The rivers which carry glory. Rivers that are neglected. Mountains that are neglected. Glorious pieces of land that carry our power. You don't feel nothing when you look at these mountains. You don't feel nothing when you look at these valleys that are empty and dead, but they carry the history of this land. They carry the power of this land. You need to go and revive those places because that is where the power of this land lies. And you are the guardian of those rivers. You are the guardian of those shores. You are the guardian of those fountains. You are the guardian of those mountains and hills that you don't have time to look at because you want to worship whiteness, left, right, and center. You want to worship whiteness. You will do anything to send your child to St. John's College. You will do anything to send your child to bishops, St. Stephen's, St. Cyprian's, and your child will not speak your language. Your child will not believe. They will be scared to even say their clan names because somehow it's demonic to have a clan name. Reclaim yourself. That is what you have to do. You have to reclaim yourself. You have to reclaim your existence. You have to reclaim your power. The land is crying because the princes of the land are walking barefoot while the servants are on horsebacks. The princes are the ones who clean, are the ones who wash after the servants. You need to free yourself. Go back to the indigenous power of being a guardian of the sacredness of this land. The land is sacred and the land is desecrated in front of you because you've divorced yourself from the power you were given to take care of this land so that the land can take care of you. You've turned your back on the sacred places of this land. You've turned your back on the sacred teachings of our forefathers. You go for the Western ideas of isms and schisms. I've said it and I'll say it again. All systems that came from outside came only to conquer and dominate. Telling me about Pan-Africanism. You're telling me about communism. You're telling me about socialism. You're telling me about capitalism. They all different sides of the same coin. You need to transcend. You need to transcend being told how to be and own it because it's within you. You were born with the power to run things. But you have to remove the nonsensical parasite in you. The parasite that controls your mind, that when you see your brother doing well, you want to take what they built. You want to destroy it. You want to live in dirt and squalor. You are a broken people. And unless you see that, there's no help for you. I'm sad because I look at the beautiful rivers of the land. They lay barren. The rivers are even dry. Our people don't even have concern. Is this Ziba? The great palaces of this land, in the waters of the land, the beautiful places that gave our ancestors longevity, that gave our ancestors secret knowledge on how to heal You've neglected them. You are busy there trying to get yourself into the system of white supremacy. When you look at Robertov, I want to be like you, say, oh no, help me, Robertov. You worship. Hey, you turn into an infant in the face of white supremacy because that is your place. You know it. Innately, you know your place is being a boy in white supremacy. You are a boy. Why do you think so many of our people have boy in their surnames? Swart boy, vet boy, Giel boy. I've seen Xhosa people with all those surnames. Some are even just called boy. A Xhosa man in the age of 85, his surname is Swart boy, vet boy, Giel boy. Yay. You are a boy and you know it and you accept it. You accept it. Stop being a tool of self-destruction. Claim your independence. Divorce all the parasitical ideologies that you have accepted. These parasitical ideologies are eating you from the inside. You don't have a place. You don't have a place in white supremacy. Your place is only to serve. When you can't serve anymore, you are chucked out and you cry that you don't get jobs as South Africans. We don't get jobs in this country. They prefer foreigners. Foreigners are serving and they don't mind. You don't want to serve because your only place in this system in South Africa is to serve. You are a servant. You are a slave to them. Unless you go back and realize that your forefathers left you with wealth, you neglect those things that were given to you that have preserved the ancestors of this land. From Cape Town to Limpopo, they've preserved them for thousands of years. You look down to those things. Indigenous industries. I gave you an idea. I said, amasi is one of the sacred foods of the land. If you have control over the manufacturing of amasi, the distribution of amasi, the selling of amasi, imagine how many billionaires from that industry are going to be born. But no, you don't care. You prefer to buy amasi from Woolworths. And that is the difference between a slave and a master. A master understands that they have to run things. Even a poor child, but because they are a master at the age of 6 years old, they understand that their job is to run things. So you're going to go and buy amas that you don't even know what is inside of them. Eh? I always laugh when our people are going to hold a ceremony. And then in that ceremony, they need to light candles. But in order for them to even be able to light those candles, they need to go buy them first because they don't even know how to produce their own light. They've neglected umtati, which is the indigenous light. They've neglected umtati. The umtati tree is the one they should be using to light in the indigenous ceremonies. But now let's go buy light. If the Europeans close that shop, you are doomed. You can't even pray. Yay! All right. So the first thing then you do is you reclaim the economy. It's easier to reclaim the economy by creating an indigenous-based economic system. So you look at all the indigenous industries that exist. The indigenous healing, indigenous medicine, Methodus Medindi, Materia Medica. I'll give you an example. You can run the health system, the indigenous health system. First and foremost, we've got chemists. We've got, technologists. We've got biomedical professionals, native biomedical professionals. They should be the ones producing the research on the viability of indigenous medicine. They should be the ones producing the medical research and not standardizing, but establishing the validity of indigenous medicine. That's how you take over the medical industry, or at the very least, you re-establish the indigenous medical industry. Incense, indigenous incense is one of the indigenous herbs. It's a cleansing agent. It cleanses the air to begin with. Buchu. Buchu is an indigenous herb that has been taken over by white people because they're smart. They know we can make so much money with this, and they're making money with buchu. What are you doing with buchu? Nothing. Rooibos is one of the indigenous teas of this country. Taken over completely. It's even international now. Do you guys understand how many billionaires and multimillionaires were born out of the rooibos plant alone? But it's not the only indigenous tea. We have many other indigenous teas. Ikwaka, Ingina, those are teas. I don't see our people selling. You don't even need to sell to outsiders. You can sell to the native people who already know these things. But you must, for example, I said, look at the chemists, collaborate with the native scientists, publish research to back up. We already know the work of these things. So you can start by targeting an industry. That is the solution that I'm giving now. You start by targeting an industry that, because our people already had these industries, you target an industry, it's an uncharted territory, which means it's untapped billions of rands that are waiting for you to make them. Hudia, beautiful indigenous plant. Buffon disticha. Buffon, it's a beautiful indigenous plant. Ingwadi. These are they've got psychoactive and hallucinogenic qualities as well. Islau, for example, it's one of the plants you could sell. It helps people to have better dreams. People want to meditate better. You sell those things. You design a process of how measurements can work, how to use them. You must fast. You must not have sex before using this. These are things that are untapped. They're waiting for someone to take advantage of them but you have to be genuine about it. You have to love the ways our forefathers did it. Marijuana is one of the most valued. It's a ritualistic herb. Marijuana is not just something you come and smoke. It was a ritual. It was a community ritual. Marijuana. Men used to come together, dig holes, open up an airspace, put some water, another airspace, and put these long tubules or reeds through which they would smoke marijuana through the water. You understand? They used to smoke it through the water. You could literally build clubs based on that. Build clubs. You could build something like what is this? This thing, Habli. Something similar based on the smoking methodologies, rituals that come with it. My point is, I just pointed out one industry. One industry, the health industry alone, it will solve so many problems. And the health industry is connected to the food industry. I will mention one plant, the sorghum. The sorghum. It is a cancer-fighting food. There's no reason why it should not be eaten by everyone. You use sorghum, you make porridge in the morning. You use sorghum, you make pap as a staple. You add sorghum into your, smoothies. It's a superfood that will help to fight cancer, which is being made by European food. Cancer. From McDonald's, we get cancer. From KFC, we get cancer. From alcohol. SAB, South African breweries, the alcohol is carcinogenic. You get cancer from aerosol sprays, Shield, Axe, these sprays that people use. From perfumes, people get cancer. So you could use food. So from the health industry, it coincides with the food industry. Again, that's where I spoke about amasi. I'm mentioning sorghum. There's millet as well. These are all untapped industries. There's melon, Xhosa melon, which we call INGXOXO. Foods like umqhaqha, You know, until Woolworths starts making these things, people are gonna wanna make noise that Woolies is taking over. Woolies is already making umleko. Woolies is already making money with amagwinya. Woolies is already making money with ujek. They're not playing. They're gonna take it all because our people are giving. They don't wanna make these things. These are solutions now. I'm saying we can take over at an economic level by re-establishing, improving on the industries that already existed. We could go into the beauty industry, talk about imivambo, the cutting of our faces. Yes, this live is going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube tomorrow. It's going to be premiering tomorrow. Beauty and cosmetics. Imivambo. We used to make little incisions to do our beauty things. Today you have to go to a tattoo shop to feel beautiful. But we had imivambo as an industry. Why you don't see imivambo anymore? We would take the smoking pipe, heat it up here, and then put it here and here. It will leave these two rings. Women used to do that for beauty. Big earrings. Cosmetics. The ochre, the red ochre that we use. Also the white one that we use to paint our faces. Nobody does it because somehow it's demonic. But makeup from Europe is not. What nonsense is this that we have put ourselves in? What stupidity is this that we have put ourselves in? You don't want to wear indigenous clothing? You see, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be hosting a live. I want you to come and see how I'm dressed. Next month, perhaps the first live I host next month, or maybe in the first week, I want you to see how I'm dressed because sometimes it's easy to talk. We actually have to start doing now. I want you to see because unless you make your indigenous identity a trend, unless you make it relevant, it is not going to be relevant. But indigenous identity is not just clothing. It's not just shouting online and fighting with people. It's truly in your blood, that thing. It's not me. I don't have to approve of you. It's in, you must live it. It's a lived experience. It's in your psyche. I mentioned health industry, pharmacies and all that. And I know there's big pharma that kills people when they try to open their own stuff. But we have to do it. They're not going to kill all of us. They're not going to kill all of us. And guys, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. I run all of this by myself. I already have an e-commerce store. I already have a registered company that sells organic stuff, health products and food. It's only a matter of time I start bringing in the products. I have it. It's registered in my name. I have a website, e-commerce store. It's there. It's just not live yet. It's only a matter of time. Because it's tiring having our people always cry because they want somebody else to give them something. We have to do for ourselves. We have to have something that is ours. You go to France, it is the French who decide what pizza is and what it isn't. It is the French who decide what wine is and what it isn't. It is the French who decide what cheese is and what it isn't. You go to Italy, it is the Italians who decide what pasta is and what it isn't. They have control of those industries. So don't take it lightly, the amasi that I'm talking about, the avocados that I'm talking about, the tropical indigenous fruits that I'm talking about. You obsessed over oranges. Did you know we have our own version, indigenous version of oranges? Oh, I love plums. Did you know we have our own indigenous plums? Imigwenye. Ah, man, I I love apples. We have our own indigenous apples. Isaqoni. Isaqoni. They call it the K apple. Did you know? Ah, man, I love grapes. We have our own grapes. We have our own bananas from South Africa. They're here. And they have seeds. Unlike this seedless nonsense. Mito, it's noted. Mito is noted. So I actually have an institution that I'm running. I have an institution that I'm running called Sanle Tukan University under Undo. In that institution, I have people that are part of it. For more than a year now, about 45 people, more or less, have joined. Some of them are lawyers, some of them are food technologists, some of them are engineers. So there are people who are actually serious out there. There are people who are actually serious about building. People with families, with children, who say, no, we're tired. And I said it, I just needed 10 people. We're going to make it happen. So you say you want solutions. I've just given a few ideas. We could go into the construction industry. Because I know I sound like I'm only talking about stuff you can eat and all that. But I'm talking about healing first, because you need to heal. We cannot be having people who suffer from TB and we are trying to build, but people are dying left, right, and center with TB. People are dying left, right, and center with mental health problems because they are eating. You know, mental health problems are exacerbated with food that is processed and was too much sugar or salt. It exacerbates everything. It exacerbates anxiety. These foods exacerbate depression. They cause and make it worse. Migraines. At the age of 30, people are already taking chronic medication, which is causing kidney problems, heart problems, liver failure problems in 20 years or even sooner. The very diagnosis of the Western medicine is problematic. That is why I'm so passionate about our own indigenous materia medica and methodes medindi. All industries, we had all of them. If you feel like our industry is lagging behind, for example, you say, oh, but our construction industry is lagging behind. Well, we live in a global world now. You could literally go and work with the best construction professionals in the world. The best. You go there, you reverse engineer that technology, and then you integrate with our own building principles here. Why do we build in circles? Why do we build light stuff that are easy to move? And then you integrate these advanced building concept, these advanced engineering concept, integrate them with indigenous concept. You come with indigenous engineering with our own characteristics. But no, let's focus. Let's make it German. But this is not Germany. This is not Germany. It's crazy. We used to have our own transportation. It's how the Kurikwa pushed the Portuguese in 1510. In the Battle of Salt River, they pushed them from Rondebosch all across to Pardon Island and shattered them into pieces. They were using cattle as a transportation and a fighting tool. So the idea that our people don't even know how to fight using, they knew. They knew. So when you build now military vehicles, you engage with those indigenous principles. But if you are someone like Ramaphosa, someone like Ronald Lamula, who are absolutely clueless on indigenous affairs, how are you going to build a military that can protect the people? We had strategies, military strategies. When we go to war, we had different formations. They should be integrated into the army. But heck, dare I say, we need to build our own armies, our own security systems. Each community has a piece of the army protecting that community there. We need to have our own indigenous police, our own spies. Our own spies, because our country is being overrun. You know, if you had been to Sea Point 25 years ago, 25 years ago, and you come back to Sea Point now, you'd be shocked. You would think it's been invaded. Greenpoint 25 years ago and Greenpoint now, you would think it's invaded. So we do need a protection mechanism. Umkhosi, INGXOXO, the spies. Different regiments. But this one has to be private. It has to be discussed privately. This one is serious. It's a threat to some people. So my point is, the solution is to build. That is the solution. People are asking, okay, what are the solutions? It's to build. But you don't just build blinded, absent-mindedly. You don't build absent-mindedly. You build while you are leaning on systems that have already existed in the past and worked. You just advance them, modernize them, improve them. It's called, Kaizen in the Japanese Toyota way of doing things. They call it that principle of improving things constantly. Kaizen. You just apply Kaizen. You take systems that already exist, you improve them. That's it. So it's not just about selling or economic stuff. It's everything. You cannot be looking to someone else. And guys, if you think I'm making this stuff up, there are communities that are already doing this. Who do you think runs? Who do you think runs these private security companies? Who do you think supplies them with security software here in South Africa? You think it's different people? You think the private security companies in South Africa are not one and the same thing? You think they don't all report to the same source? They don't all get approvals from the same governing bodies? Do you not realize that it's a private army and there are people who are behind it? So what I'm saying is not something that has not happened. It's already happened. We have private armies in the country. And the government already knows it as well. That is why whenever there's a bit of a possible threat to the security of the country, which the threat has always been there, by the way, but they always want to, over-sensationalize it when it's the natives. But whenever there's a purported threat, they always threaten to work with the private sector because the private sector has already built a parallel system. That's why private sector is today. It's just a parallel government. Heck, some may even say it's a shadow government. That's exactly what I'm saying. But I'm saying you do it from an indigenous principle standpoint, because when it's an indigenous principle standpoint, it means the land will work with you. It means the mountains of this country will work to your favor. It means the rivers will work with you. The seas will recognize you. You think they won't recognize you? The clouds will recognize you. This country, she will recognize you. Ngaramab will recognize you. I will recognize you. We will recognize you. So that's it. And I'm answering. This is an answer to what I said earlier, that toy protesting is not the solution. It is our entitlement. We are entitled to to protest and whatever. That's absolutely fine. I've toyed before. I've protested before many times. It's all right. However, we need to have a much broader view, look further than that. The solution has to be a step-by-step process. So those who love these kind of teachings, follow me, go to YouTube, search for Sandile Tukani, subscribe there. If you are able, you can always donate, support the work. if you are able, you want to learn, go to undoqo.org. UNDOQO.org. That is my website, the website of my institution. Go to contact us. Tell me you want to learn A, B, C, and D. Other than that, you stay here. You take notes. The stuff I'm saying, if something appeals to you, if you feel like you are touched by one thing, go and pursue it. Go and pursue it. If you are a fashion designer, don't wait for Burberry. Don't wait on Givenchy. Don't wait on Louis Vuitton. Go and make your own indigenous style clothing. Come on, man. We're tired of buying from H&M. They're racist. Come on now. We're tired of buying from Diesel and old khaki. You understand? We need our own version of things. We're capable of building, okay? The website is undoqo.org. Undoqo.org. That is the website. I am going to drop now because it's 8 p.m. I need to do some family responsibilities. However, I do believe that I will be back most likely in 2 hours at 10 p.m. We will be talking about Twinkia, Ora Kobab, isiXhosa, isintu, abathwa, kwe. That is what we'll be talking about. That is what we'll be talking about at 10. If you find that topic interesting, clan names, oral history, we'll be talking about that. We'll talk about Jan van Riebeeck and the Kuriqikwa, the descendants of the Kuriqikwa, the indigenous people of South Africa, the invaders that came, and why it's important today. We'll be talking about that at 10 p.m. Thank you very much. I'm out.